Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today's December 24th. Happy Christmas Eve to everybody out there. Edition number 2 on the day. We're going to take an updated look at what has been going on as the model runs have been coming in today. And the area of interest here for Christmas night and on in through the next day is right about out here. Still a bit northwest of the Hawaiian Islands, but this is going to be racing towards Pacific Ocean. Very strong jet stream, as you can imagine, out here across Pacific Ocean. Atmospheric river rolling into the Pacific Northwest. Multiple storm chances upcoming here over the next few days. Big wave activity, mountain snows, you name it, we got it. Heavy rainfall. So let's just go ahead and start diving into things here. First, I wanted to share with you guys the channel is doing quite well. We passed 90,000. I think it was at some point yesterday. We're on our way to 100,000 here eventually, it looks like. And hopefully we can do it this season. If we get another, big storm here coming up here, maybe some Arctic air, we should be able to reach that hopefully this season. So if you haven't already, click like and subscribe. Much appreciated. So taking a look at the North Pacific Ocean, I mean, look at this atmospheric river, just like a bullet here, this very deep, rich, moist plume all the way back towards Southeast Asia, racing north of the Hawaiian Islands. And if I put that into motion, you can just see it burrow into the west coast of North America. And there is the storm right there that we're going to be watching. This is about midnight here on a Christmas night as we go into the day after Christmas. This storm will be in development right off the coastline here. And, the track on this storm is going to mean a lot because it's packing a punch with it. And some areas are showing up pretty windy. Other models not so sure. And then we've got additional systems here as well. Look at this one, another potent low right on the Washington-Oregon coastline with additional systems potentially. After that, as we go on into the 27th, 28th, and just kind of continuing on towards the end of the year here. What we're going to be concentrating on here right now is the storm that's coming in on Christmas night and on the day after Christmas here. So if we take a look, again, you can immediately see we got the fruitcake colored map, and the National Weather Service Seattle's talking about store or secure loose items. It's probably not a bad idea to take Christmas decorations down I don't want to say immediately, but as soon as you can during maybe the evening hours on Christmas area, just because if you do get some of those strong winds, you don't want those ripped apart and strewn all over the neighborhood, depending on where you are. But you can see we have winter storm warnings across the higher terrain, hydrologic outlooks. We got ice surf advisories. We got wind advisories and high wind watches. We got all kinds of stuff. Looking down towards Portland, Oregon, we've got something similar here as well. Medford, look at this, some of the large breaking waves, 30 to 35 feet. This goes all the way through Thursday afternoon. Waves can inundate beaches, push large logs up the beach, and surge into normally dry areas. So yeah, use extreme caution. This was updated here by the National Weather Service Medford. And some of the more significant rainfall looks like it's going to be occurring across some of southwest Oregon, northwest California. So potential for flooding as we go through this weekend. And that's going to be a lot of the Pacific Northwest. We've gotten some decent precipitation amounts, and we got a lot more to come here. So we could have some localized landslide reports and things of that nature as well. And if we look at Medford, again, you can see all the watches, advisories, warnings, all kinds of stuff going on across the region. Now, looking at Spokane National Weather Service, this is updated this morning. So on Christmas, we're going to have some snow flying for I-90 here. And so we got to watch out. If you're traveling back, to Eastern Washington or from Eastern Washington back towards the Puget Sound area or from Eastern Oregon back towards the Oregon Cascades, you can run into some of that snow here. And you can see Highway 2, probably a little bit higher impact there as well. Of course, that's a 4,000 foot pass there for Stevens, 3,000 foot for Snoqualmie. So you can imagine you're probably going to do better if you take I-90 back and forth. Pendleton, Oregon, talking about the winter storm warning here for Washington Cascades above 3,000 feet. And again, Wednesday, this is tomorrow, Christmas, 1 p.m. through 10 p.m. on Thursday. You see the snow accumulations varying between 6 and 18 inches. Travel outlook, Idaho, Panhandle, Montana. As you can imagine, once we get towards Thursday here, you start to bring the precipitation, some moderate impacts, especially for the higher terrain and the mountain passes. Boise, Idaho, this winter storm watch is for the higher terrain. Notice it does not include Boise or Mountain Home itself. Now, that winter storm watch, you can see there, 12 to 18 inches over some of the mountains, 6 to 12 for most areas. Now, take a look at the European. So this is where we are right about now. If I scroll through here, you can see some very energetic waves continuing on as we go through Christmas. Another round of waves comes in for the Washington, Oregon coast. Look at some of this wave action into the Oregon coast as we go through later on the day Christmas, and you can see that just continuing on through the day after, and more energetic sets just kind of rolling in here. I mean, look at this craziness here as we go through into Friday morning. Just some monster waves maybe for Cape Disappointment. I mean, not a bad time to go out there and view waves if you like that type of thing. And you can see elevated wave action all the way on in towards this weekend coming up before maybe we start to get a break as we go towards the end of the year. No promises on that. So taking a look, you saw the atmospheric river. Now you can see this associated jet stream. It's about 30,000 feet. And if I put that into motion, you can see the jet extension that moves towards us on the day Christmas. And again, that little area right here is where we're watching for storm development as we go through Christmas night into the day after Christmas. And then the next storm system would be right there. Another low towards Vancouver Island there as well, and maybe additional systems thereafter. So if we take a look, the dynamic tropopause potential temperature, you can kind of see the contrast between the warmer subtropical air to the south. It's like a battle between good versus evil, hot versus cold, cats versus dogs. This very intense gradient there across the Pacific Ocean. That's what's bringing these the storm potential here over the next few days. As you can see, these kind of rolling into the Pacific Northwest. Yeah, kind of an interesting look at things there. I do like to show some of the temperatures aloft at times if you've been watching this channel for any length of time. So hot off the presses here, North American high resolution model 00Z. This is started at 4 p.m. this afternoon. This is the latest. So we're going to get some breezy conditions for some areas tomorrow, but it looks like the bigger storm is going to be developing as we go through Christmas night. This is about 9 p.m. There's 10, 11, and you can see a very power-packed low pressure center out there with a very intense pressure gradient on its south side. I mean, right in here, look at these are 4 millibars. This is a big-time pressure gradient moving towards the coastal areas. The good news is this low looks like it will be weakening once it gets towards the coastal regions, but you still see a very potent pressure gradient. I mean, you're looking at 984 versus 1008. What is that? 16. That's 24 millibars. You're approaching some pretty high-end pressure gradients along some of the Washington and the Oregon coast as we go through Christmas morning. And some of those high winds could be getting across some of the Northwest Interior and maybe the Puget Sound and the Willamette Valley, depending on which model you like. But, we have to kind of break things down and see what actually is going to happen. But we still don't have that model agreement that we would like to see on just where the strongest winds are going to be hitting. But I'll show you what we've got here coming up. So if we take a look at the latest European, the 18Z run, this starts running at about 10 a.m. And you can see it does develop the low there, but you notice it is not as deep and not as substantial here, but it still brings a powerful pressure gradient to some of the Oregon coast. But then we scroll out a little bit more and the European has an even stronger storm. Look at that nasty thing. I mean, my goodness, you're talking about what, 21, 29, 30 millibars almost from, ocean shores down towards the California-Oregon border. Would be some very intense winds with that. Model agreement is not good on that storm as well. And then you can see another storm system rolling through as we go through the weekend, and maybe additional storms as we go on in through Sunday, one after another. So we try to look for other models for help as well. What does the high resolution model say? The high resolution rapid refresh, the 0Z run. We start to scroll off in towards Christmas night. And yeah, that's kind of a classic spot here. You can see definitely a very strong pressure gradient associated. Look at this 984 millibar low, potentially bringing some pressure gradients back in towards the Puget Sound, Willamette Valley as we go on the day after Christmas. So you can see we're probably doing a little bit better on some of the model agreement here, but that's still kind of the sweet spot here for some of the Oregon coast. I'll show you some of these speeds here in a moment. So another one, the rapid refresh model, this is also an American model. We can scroll off and take a look at this. So as we scroll on in towards, where are we now? We're on in towards about 1 a.m. And you can clearly see this very potent pressure gradient in the low pressure system there. So that, it does kind of line up with the HER and the European model a bit, 986 with a powerful pressure gradient. But look, these are 2 millibar lines. That is a very intense blast to the coast of Oregon. And some of that pressure gradient looks like it could potentially set up for some of the Willamette Valley as well. We really got to watch for 50 mile per hour gusts through the Willamette Valley. It's not been as wind tested as some places across the Puget Sound and the Northwest Interior and some of the coastal areas so far this year. And then you see this potent pressure gradient, maybe even given a pressure rise up the Puget Sound there after this low is filling a bit and moving across British Columbia. So again, now going over this, deviation in track, high-end implications because, you bring that track a little bit further south and you might be leaving areas like western BC and southwest BC out of the windstorm. Or if you track it a little bit further north, you start to include portions like Victoria, San Juan's northwest interior, and some of southwest BC more in the high wind pattern there. And of course, if you bring a low right into the Washington coast, you really want to watch out for areas just on the south side of that. If this low brings the best pressure gradient across the Oregon coast, we're going to have to watch for that too as well. So small deviations in the track have high-end impact implications. Something I just drew up there really quickly to kind of drive home the point. Now, if we look at the high-resolution model, this is 80-meter wind speeds here. So this is going on through the day tomorrow. I do want to mention this. It's going to get breezy out there. You can see across some of the Puget Sound, southeast winds here across the northwest interior. So you might get your Christmas decorations blowing around here. Whidbey Island, the San Juan, some of the Salish Sea. Coastal areas getting a bit breezy tomorrow as well, but watch as we go on in through the night of Christmas. Check this out, about 9 p.m. Look at these winds for the Oregon coast. I mean, I'll show you what some individual locations are scheduled to get in some of these wind gusts, but this is what's known as a coastal jet, and this creeps up the Washington coast a bit here as well. And this is in advance of that low pressure system, as you can see right there. And then you can kind of see what appears to be kind of a double-barreled bent back occlusion here is where the cold front and the warm front wrap around behind a low pressure system and bring some strong winds in towards the coast. And then at the same time, you got to watch. Look at some of these winds coming up the Willamette Valley. These are some big gusts. It could be exceeding 50 miles per hour also. And this could be very late Christmas night when these winds start picking up, or evening and night. And then you can see a pretty good surge through the Puget Sound here on the high resolution model as well. So higher terrain, no doubt, some gusty winds for eastern Washington, Oregon as we move on through the day after Christmas, and then who knows what's going to come after that. But again, you can see some storm development here as we go on in through the afternoon of the 26th, and you saw what the European wanted to bring on the 27th as well. Now look at North Bend, Oregon. Look at the HRRR, 65 miles per hour. This is the 0Z run. It goes out 48 hours and it kind of gives you an hour-by-hour breakdown with precipitation amounts and whatnot. 65 miles per hour. Check out Florence, 75, and that would be that's Christmas evening right there. That's Christmas evening. And then we go on in through Cape Blanco, 84 miles per hour. Newport, 76. 66 for Astoria, 79. So you can imagine if the HRRR verifies, this is Sea Lion Caves, some pretty windy conditions on the Oregon coast. Now, if we take a look at Astoria Regional Airport, and actually, let me do something here really quick. I'm going to back up a second here because I'm going to do something else. I want to look towards Portland here really quick also. Let's do to Portland, and we'll do that, and we'll make sure to be on the 0Z. Look at this. Look at that burst right there, 59 miles per hour. That's very early on the morning of the 26th. I don't know if this is some kind of glitch or if that's just a pressurizer or what is going on with that, but 49 miles per hour, which means we are going to check another station here as well. Let's check Eugene, and we'll go 18 hour, and we'll go 0Z. And 5250, this would be problematic for the Willamette Valley, so we're going to check another station also. We're going to take a look. Can we find Salem here? Let's see. There we go. There's Salem, and make sure to be on the 0Z. Yeah, that's big time wind here. That's high wind criteria for Salem, Oregon. So we really got to watch the track of this low. That's why I was mentioning that. You can see 1, 2, 3 hours, 4 hours with 50 plus. And you saw that big gust for Portland also. However, if you look at the European, you can see it's more conservative with some of these wind speeds. Look at Astoria on the latest control, only 39, but then that secondary storm on the 27th. So this kind of confuses the issue. And you see some of these ensemble runs are a bit higher. I mean, look at this, 83 on that secondary system there. But you see a lot of these don't have much. So you can see the uncertainty we have when we look out towards the 27th. A little bit better agreement here, but you can still see the huge variability in some of these wind speeds, some of these much higher into the upper 60s, and some of them much lower down into the 30s or lower 40s. Now, if we take a look at Quileute up on Washington, 51 in the control, and you see just some monster gusts in here, but again, huge disagreement in the ensembles as we go through the 27th. Better agreement for that first storm there. This is Eugene, 47. That would get your attention there across some of the Willamette Valley. That could cause some power outages and some some tree damage there as well. Here's Portland, 44 on the latest European. That's not bad wind here, and some of the ensembles do have gusts up towards 50. So it's like, what are we dealing with here? Are the high-resolution models onto something that the European simply is not at this point with this first initial storm? That is what we are trying to figure out right now. If we take a look at the wrap, I want to run over this here one more time. This is the College of DuPage as well. Nice website here. Now, we're going to scroll through here and you'll see the pressure gradients really tighten up. And look at some of these barbs. These are not gusts. These are sustained 10 knot winds, over 50 knots. So these are close to 60 mile per hour sustained winds. Very potent storm here. So the wrap is in order here with the HER, with some of these higher wind speeds. This would bring a very interesting blow to some of the northern Willamette Valley here. I mean, that is a power pack pressure gradient. Look at this. You're talking about you're talking just north of Portland there, maybe towards Kelso, down towards the mid portion of the Willamette Valley, 20 millibars. That's out of control. That would be a very strong wind gust. You'd have high wind warnings would be needed for that. There'd probably be some wind gusts up over 55 to 60 miles per hour up the Willamette Valley if that were to occur. So I'm sounding the alarm a little bit here just to make sure people are aware of the potential here as we go through a very late Christmas night and on in through Thursday morning. If we take a look at the Canadian model, we'll scroll through here and look at this is just 10 meter wind speeds. These are sustained 10 meter wind speeds. And now scrolling through here, I mean, it's going to be pretty windy on the day tomorrow. Again, I got to point that out. You can see the Salish Sea and some of the coastal areas, especially right off the coastline. But then the wind really starts kicking up, and you can see the coastal jet moving up as we go. This is about 9 p.m. there on Christmas. And then let's see, what kind of surge does it bring? It doesn't bring too bad of a surge up the Willamette Valley. Probably some 40 plus mile per hour gusts there as well. And then maybe a surge up the Puget Sound, northwest interior yet again. And the bent back occlusion, again, could get quite windy. Again, this is just 10 meter wind speed here. If we do 10 meter wind gust swath, and we just kind of extend it all the way out, you can see Oregon coast, biggest blow. But a lot of these gusts are confined to the immediate coastline. And you can see not much for the Willamette Valley, actually. I stand corrected a bit there. But you can see there are some locally higher gusts in there. So you see the problem we're having. We've got models all over the place right now. As far as precipitation, not much has changed there. You can see Seattle by the time we get towards Monday morning. You're getting up towards 3 inches, some pretty good amount for the Willamette Valley. And you see that bullseye there across some of southwest Oregon and northwest California. Snow depth change in inches. Now, I just want to point out, as we go through Christmas night, people traveling back and forth, probably, again, best to take I-90 just because it is a lower pass versus Highway 2 and White Pass. A bit more treacherous. I-90, easier to keep up. Wider lanes and lower pass. So probably I-90 the way to go if you're traveling back and forth once you start getting into tomorrow and on into the 26th if you got to go back and forth. And again, there is a snow chance there, Highway 2 northbound there across some eastern Washington also. You can kind of see some of that. So what else can we look at here? So there's the atmospheric river. There's this system rolling through on the 12th. And then again, we really got to watch that one. That would be a significant storm as well on the 27th. And then another storm rolling in here. More of a garden variety, but still a pretty potent storm in of itself. And then maybe some additional low pressure systems after that. Something else I wanted to look at here. So 925 millibars, we're going to skip that for now. I want to look at the artificial intelligence, and you can see the storm systems moving through here, one after another, and kind of hunting for Arctic air off in the future. Unfortunately, in the 18Z run here, there's really no sign of it. You see the ridge build here? That is not favorable for Arctic air back down to the Pacific Northwest, Gulf of Alaska trough. You need the ridge out here, and you need the northwest wind and the northwest wind to bring, cross-polar flow or some kind of cold air mass back down across northern Canada into the Pacific Northwest. We are not seeing any signs of that as of right now, but keep checking back daily. Things can change at this time of year, and we'll continue to monitor the extended for that. And if you guys are crossing back and forth, it's always recommended, or especially if you're in the backcountry, for the Northwest Avalanche Center. We did downgrade things here for many areas down towards moderate. Nice forecast discussion, and we'll be watching the landslide potential here over the next few days. Updated today, 6 to 10 day. You can see the near normal out there and the above average. So anyway, I'll get this out. Now I've been rambling on enough here. It's already 8 p.m., so hopefully enough of you guys can see this before you go to bed tonight and be prepared for tomorrow. But I will be doing a morning briefing tomorrow as well, so check in for that also. Otherwise, click like and subscribe. We'll do this all again tomorrow, and I will talk to you guys then.